We're talking here today, folks. We've been talking a lot about this, but it just seems to continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse. It's been bad throughout history. We can sit and say what we want to, but we've talked about the Adam syndrome, the knowledge of good and evil, the understanding of what it is, the war, what we're doing, and I just was looking at headlines today. I was going through MSNBC, CNN, Fox, CBN, Christian Broadcasting Network, the Christian Post, all kinds of different. The one that struck me the most was this, though. This is the one that caught my eye. I don't know if anybody knows who Demi Lovato is, which if you listen to the radio, you may and whatnot. She's a pop star. She's been around a long time, had problems, whatnot, on American Idol. I don't know. She probably had a famous song. I don't know what it is. Justin?
I couldn't tell you what the name of it is.
See, there you go. I don't really care. But she comes out. This is in the news cycle, folks. And this is what used to be, this was a joke.
Satire.
In my day, it was a joke. She comes out and says that she doesn't believe, she said she thinks, oh gosh, now I can't remember the statement. I had it in front of me a minute. Yeah. She thinks that calling extraterrestrials aliens is offensive. Oh, man. Does the word alien, what do you think alien means? It's foreign.
Here. Yeah, not from here.
So do we call everybody not from the United States extra United Staters? I mean, I don't know anymore, man. It's stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. These people are stupid. Yes. Stay away from them. Don't give them sharp objects. And, give them a wide berth. I'm sorry. I just can't help it anymore. I'm not going to be insulted by somebody who has no clue about anything. When somebody makes that kind of statement, as far as just, she needs Jesus, most assuredly. And I'm good. And that's my point. I want to tell her about Jesus. Is she going to listen? How do you make a statement like that? How?
Just, as you said, just stupid. I mean, ignorance is one thing. Ignorance is ignoring information, ignoring what is known, and you just simply ignore it. That's where we get the word ignorance. You ignore something.
Right.
And by ignoring it, you don't know what it is. That doesn't mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean that. But when you come out and make statements like this, friend, that's beyond ignorance.
Yes.
It's beyond ignorance.
What else do you say to that?
It's just stupidity. And it's hard to fix stupid.
Dear G. And, okay, so this is why, as we have up here, the lie becomes truth. How does a lie become truth? This is how.
Yep.
This is how. I was saying to Justin before we started, we've had different parties in our country as far as government is concerned for as far back as we were electing people to government, right? Mm-hmm. There was Whigs and
Tories.
Tories that's England.
I know.
But you had Whigs and...
But there were some here.
Whigs and Republicans. You had federal... It was actually what started was the Whigs and the federal... It was Federalists and... Well, I think it was the Whigs. That's what they called them. That was the party, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, if I'm wrong, let me know, folks. you come up to Republicans. This was the party Jefferson, the Republican Party. And then it slowly over time, we have Democrat, Republican parties, right? What's interesting to me is, and I know because it's hard, because I've walked into that the voting booth, and you're looking at the card, and if you're going to be honest with yourself, how many names do you actually recognize that you just recognize the name? You don't know anything about these people. You know nothing about these people, but you're check marking that box because they're a Republican or a Democrat. And you're voting the party line, and you have no clue who these people are. And this is what has destroyed the nation.
Yep.
Because somewhere along the line, it doesn't really matter anymore, Republican, Democrat, those are useful tools. Because underneath that, the ideological context is there. And I hear people say, I'm not going to be an ideologue. We have to, it's truth. Well, truth is still, and there's idea, the language, people we get so caught up in nonsense.
Well, but that's the way things are disguised. The problem is, as you said, the general population is too busy about their own things, and I know we all have to work, we have to do things, I understand that, families, raise their children.
Right.
No, and we're busy people, I understand that. But if you're going to be involved in an election, if you're going to be involved in the electing of officials, then we should make ourselves aware of who these people are. We should take that time.
Right.
We say, well, don't have. Yeah, you have time. You have time.
Turn off the TV for crying out loud.
Yeah, we got time to sit around and watch shows all night long.
Jeez.
The thing is, and here's another part of that. The ones that are running, the politicians know this.
Yes.
And so they know, and all they have to do is get out their name out there and things like that, and which party they belong to, and that's all they have to do.
And that's a huge part of it, Dad, because underneath it, and this is the thing, underneath that, we really don't know what liberalism is. We don't know what conservatism is. If anybody can define for me conservatism, I'd love to hear it. Do you really know what it is to be a conservative? Because in the end, that's the thought process behind that. That was the thought process behind the grand old party. Most people don't know. You hear GOP thrown around, and we think, is that some sort of like government designation? No, it just means grand old party. That's all it means, because it goes all the way back to Jefferson.
Yep.
The GOP, the grand old party. Yeah, it's a grand old party, all right. Oof. The Democrat Party. But see, liberalism has been taken over by progressivism, which is more socialistic in nature. And conservatism has gone very moderate. They're not conservative. Very few conservatives, in my opinion, anymore.
Not many.
Very few. Conservatism is almost gone. Ate up. You have guys like Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham. Rand Paul, I don't know if he's a conservative.
He's more conservative than they are, for a fact.
But see, and then we talk about that, but we say, is he conservative? Well, we almost associate they must be a conservative because they're a Republican. Not necessarily.
No.
See, this is where we've done this. So we've taken the political system and equated Republican, conservative, Democrat, liberal, and it's not the case.
No, not at all. I mean, just because you call yourself a Republican, that doesn't mean very much, really. Who are you? And this is what they don't show very often, is actually who they are.
Right.
They stand behind that banner, And I mean, all over the country right now, you hear all the time about some Republican standing up, agreeing with what's going on, and so forth. And then you hear there's a couple of Democrats that don't agree with it. I mean, not very many.
Right.
Not as many as the Republican side.
Right.
But there are Democrats that don't agree with what is going on. And so you have to know it's not Democrat or Republican, it's who are you?
Amen to that.
Who are you? And this is man's failing forever. Is we don't really know, we don't take time to know who someone is. We listen to what they say, and we very seldom ever look at the person, who they are, what they do, and so forth. And the only way you're going to know a person is by the fruit they bear. Mm-hmm. And that's what Jesus said. By their fruit or by their actions, you will be able to know them.
Right.
So what are you doing? And this is what we don't pay much attention to, is what these people are doing after they get elected. We don't pay much attention.
For instance, I saw a headline. I briefly read the article, the first paragraph. I haven't read much. I'm going to go back and check it out. But there's an article out there that says 2 prominent GOP members, Republicans, are out there advocating that the Republicans, the Republican voter, vote moderate Democrat.
Yep.
Because so we do not allow the Trump extremists to get into office.
Yep.
Listen to that language. And this is Christine Todd, the former governor of New Jersey. And there right there says a mouthful. You're a Republican governor in New Jersey. What does that mean? You definitely ain't conservative or you're not getting elected.
Right.
Not in New Jersey.
No, not at all.
And that's just, do we understand that concept? I don't think we do, Dad.
No, not at all. It's really, I don't know how to put it. It's a difficult thing to pay attention. I mean, it takes time, it takes effort. Right. But here's an example. There was an ad recently, I think the last election, when one of the Missouri senators running, and the opposing Democrat was running ads saying that this senator lives in a $4.5 million home and so forth. Well, he does. It's not a lie, it's true. And how do you afford, now think about this, how do you afford a $4.5 million home on $173,000 a year? No bank would even consider loaning you that much money on that kind of income.
I would say no.
They just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But here's the other part of that. The man running the ad against him, what would he do if he got up there? See, that's what we don't understand.
Right.
They want the same house. You know?
And we've talked about this. How many people really that we look up there are working to say something of meaning, of value? Very few. And if they Josh Hawley has been removed from Twitter, he's been removed from this. You don't hardly see him in the public face anymore. He was there when he first got elected, and he was really boom, boom. They have effectively cut him off.
Yeah. Shut him down.
And if you don't think they won't do it, you're sadly mistaken, because doesn't the scripture say that I will send them a strong delusion, they believe a lie and be damned?
Mm-hmm. It does.
Are you going to believe the delusion? See, because this is all a delusion. This is all an illusion. None of this is going to last. There's no eternity in this, folks.
No.
For instance, here's CNN. This is a headline, and I mean, they've got the deal going back and forth, and what sea level rise will look around the globe. This is what sea level rise will look around the globe.
Look like.
Yeah, look like around the globe. Yeah. They got this deal going back, and we're global warming. We're going to flood the earth. Everything is about fear.
I thought they didn't believe in a universal flood.
Only when it suits them, man. Only when it suits them. And
how come that several prominent people in that line of thinking recently have bought beachfront homes?
Oh, man. Yeah. Still living on Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah, they're still on Martha's Vineyard, which won't be there in 3 or 4 days, folks, because the polar caps are melting and the polar bears don't have any place to go, so they're going to invade the wood as well. We'll have to be killing polar bears in our front yards and so forth,
And here's the other, John Gruden, the football coach, famous football coach. He's now resigned over homophobic, racist slurs and stuffs and emails and things like that, which I'm at a loss that we sit around. We have no clue what truth is. We beat people up. Who knows John Gruden? Do you know if he's a racist? Should he have said certain things? No, I mean.
Oh, but look, predicts more NFL figures to fall.
Why? What are we purging or something? What's going on? You've got here on the Christian Post, large toy retailers must have gender-neutral section or face fines under new California law. This is what is going. I was saying this to Dad as we started, and folks, it's hard, I think, for people to grasp the gravity of what is happening in our world around us and the culture we're seeing. These things are happening, and they're happening every day, and they're happening at breakneck speed.
Yep.
When you have this person who these celebrities, it's funny too. I saw one from Morgan Freeman, and you don't see Morgan Freeman much on the talk shows anymore, do you?
No.
Why? Because he just told this reporter from, I forget the black something. It was the Black Enterprise publication. Never heard of it. But anyway, he says, no, I don't believe in defunding the police. Don't believe in it. Not going to hear that, though, from CNN. Not going to bring... Should we defund the police, Mr. Morgan? You're a Hollywood icon, all that stuff. When they ain't bringing him on.
Oh, no.
Because it doesn't fit their narrative.
That's right.
And this isn't something that's unique to the United States. It's not unique to this particular part of the world. These are the things that are happening. Why is the lie becoming truth?
Yeah. Well, this country has always been the country of the free exchange of ideas. We've always talked things out. We come to some kind of a conclusion or whatever. But now you can't have an opposing opinion. Mm-mm. They will try to shut you up, put you down, stop you every way they can with every means possible. They don't want any opposing idea at all. And what's that sound like? Does it sound like a few other countries in the world?
Well, to your point, this is the headline on CBN News. We have no king but King Jesus. 101 Ohio pastors push back against vaccine mandate in a letter to Biden.
And it won't do any good.
Because he's acting like that, isn't he?
Well, sure. Yeah.
That's just to your point.
He's a dictator. He isn't a president.
Other people see this. They know this. This isn't like, it's apparent. It's absolutely apparent.
I don't know how it couldn't be apparent. You'd have to have your head stuck in the sand so deep that your ankles would be the only thing showing, you know.
And then on the other hand, to your point, the Texas governor orders ban on private company vaccine mandate. So what are we doing? There's a war coming.
Oh yeah.
And I know that sounds, I'm sorry, you can't say that stuff. Yeah, well, I think I can.
There's some kind of war going to come.
Because there is already a war afoot. It's a war of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, folks, it's a war between the knowledge of good and evil. It has nothing to do with life.
Well, they already are shutting down anybody that opposes them.
Yeah.
They won't, you know, how many people have been taken off of Twitter, taken off Facebook, shut down? You know, one of the most ridiculous things I've seen in I don't know how long the other day was I was looking down my Facebook page and here's this blinked out deal, you know how they put on there. And this may have offensive stuff in it. And you can click to watch it or you can ask more opinion, you know. So I clicked to look at it naturally. And it's just some people and this one guy standing kind of by himself, and it's something about standing alone. And that was offensive. That was offensive. They shut that down as being offensive. Now, what? And then the many captions around that and comments were, what's offensive about this? But anything that goes against their narrative,
yes,
there's no free exchange of ideas in this country anymore. Mm-mm. So what makes us think, how long is it going to be before these governors that oppose them, these states that oppose them, they're going to try to forcibly make them yield?
This goes right to the thought process at hand. And people say, well, we want freedom. It's freedom, freedom, freedom. No. See, I'm of a different mind. How are you made free? When Jesus said, to whom the Son has set free is free indeed. And we all sit around and it's freedom, freedom, oh. And we have no clue, again, what that means in the context of any thought process to those things. And that's what's tragic.
Yep.
I have been freed. My mind has been freed from the law, the instruction. And this is what it's been freed from thinking like these people, thinking in the way that the world thinks, thinking in this context of good and evil, and the war that's out there in this fashion. It's been freed from that. The chains have been broken off from the instruction, the knowledge of good and evil and the war that leads to my destruction. Paul said it best. He just simply said, you're freed from the law of sin and death. And that's my point. The word law simply means a custom or an instruction about how we do things. That's all it means, folks. When we discuss these things, when we see this is why everything that's happening in the world this way is bringing us to our destruction.
It's hard to sit back and watch it. The reason that I say that is because I'm a believer in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And yet I have my nature that I have to. Paul said, I die daily. I have to get up and fight this mess every day.
Right.
Because we do have a human nature. And that human nature in some of us, like me, is to fight back. Well, I'm not really fighting back. I'm just discussing what's true. This is the truth. This is what's going on. And I have to take care that I don't become antagonistic, mean, spirited and things like that, or want to hurt somebody or anything like that, because I would like them to come to the knowledge of Jesus Christ.
Right.
But on the other hand, if you don't have that, if you're not a believer, if you're not born again, then what's going to happen? Well, your nature and the nature of people are coming out now.
Right.
They're opposed to each other. I mean, we've got a general that committed treason.
Yeah.
It was treasonous what he did. Has anything happened to him?
No.
Has he been removed from office?
No.
Has he been removed from his general place?
No.
I don't think so. And he committed treason. He absolutely, under another president, under Donald Trump, called the military, and told them don't obey his orders. Don't do anything Trump tells you to do. That's treason.
Yeah.
But he's held up by certain politicians as a hero, and many people. Well, I thought, so there's no law. I mean, when you talk about law, there's no law right now. What law?
Right.
What law? Hillary Clinton is never going to see one day that she's going to have any kind of repercussions against her.
Well, they're
ever.
just there is law. They just don't believe they believe they're above it, Dan.
I know, but
it doesn't equate to
when
them.
you do that, though, you remove law. It's gone.
To replace
them.
it with something else.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
Here's Hunter Biden. I mean, we know what he did. There's no question. They have the evidence up one side and down the other. But it doesn't matter, does
Right.
it? It doesn't matter. But if I was to just look cross-eyed at somebody or disagree with them, then I'm the worst person to ever come down the road. But they can do anything they want to do. They can get by with anything they want to do. They don't, you don't tell me that they're keeping every mandate that they say they've kept themselves or they've put for us.
Well, we know that that's not true.
No,
we
because
know.
we've caught them in the act.
And that's what's amazing. See, and here's the thing, people. When you see that thought process, and we're going to finish with this, because that's a great point, Dad. Because we sit around and say, the sovereignty of God, he does whatever he wants. No. And this is how you trust Jehovah. This is how you know it's trustworthy, it's right, it's true. He holds himself to the same standard. He lives according to his own word. He doesn't work outside of it. He doesn't step outside of his own word. He lives according to his own word. Mankind, what did Jehovah say the one time? Am I man that I could lie, that I could live outside of what is true? No. Excuse me. But man lives outside of what the rules, his own rules. And this is to the point. He'll make the law and then say, well, that doesn't apply to this. Or we change the law to fit this. Well, or we manipulate it to say, well, no, it didn't really mean this. And I've heard this. I heard Blinken say, not Blinken, but the other guy, the Attorney General, say this the other day, stuttering all over himself before Congress. Well, that's just the way this is interpreted. He's basically interpreting it to fit what he wants it to fit. And this is the problem.
Who's the lawyer that's very liberal?
Dershowitz.
Dershowitz.
Yeah.
Alan Dershowitz. He's one of the most liberal lawyers in this country. Came out the other day and said, if you keep trying to enforce these mandates and stuff on people, and this vaccine mandate, he said, I'm going to step in and start defending them.
Because the thing with Dershowitz, he's probably more of a Kennedy liberal.
Yeah.
He actually looks at the Constitution and says, this is the basis by which we...
Well, Kennedy today would be considered a conservative. Upside these guys.
Folks, I know we went a little long today, but appreciate you being with us. Remember, tomorrow we're going to have Ron Burl on, and don't want to miss that. It'll be an interesting conversation. We're looking forward to it. Everybody have a great day in the Lord, and always remember to give love
and give life
and give Jesus.